everybody. It's Tuesday the 17th. Yes, 17th. Just checking. It's about 2:30ish, 2:45. I was on early shift today, so I was up and out of the house by about 6:05. Clients, hoovering, phones, work, and home again. I've not got a lot of time between the kids coming back and me dashing out for an appointment, so I thought I would jam in a quick bit of Vlogmas while I've got the chance. Sorry, I've got a bit of a stack of stuff. First of all, Advent Day 17. Drumstick squashies. Those are tasty. Ooh. Oh, isn't that nice? An absolutely enormous purple button. There you are, look. Oh, that's lovely. That'd be really nice on like a hat. Fabulous. Another cracking Advent Day. What I wanted to show you today was the long-term blanket project that I use my Advent minis for. Although it didn't start off as an Advent mini pattern. If any of you watch Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast, she has a blanket pattern, the name of which escapes me. Something of the year blanket, or I can't remember. I'll put it down below. It's a paid for pattern, but I didn't buy her pattern. I just looked at what she was doing on her podcast and sort of made up my equivalent version. It's just a mitered square blanket. The difference being that hers is done in blocks, which you then join together. So I decided what I would like to do is have, rather than putting scraps in willy-nilly to my blanket, I was going to choose that my blocks would be something in particular. So some blocks contain yarns all by the same dyer, and some blocks contain yarn that were given to me by the same person. So like my advent calendar blocks from this year will have all the different yarns in from Jennifer, even though the yarns themselves are different dyers. Does that make sense? So I thought I would show you what I've got so far. So this is a long-term project. I'm aiming for a blanket for my bed. I don't think I want it full king size because Dave runs a lot hotter than me. So I just want a bigger than single size for my half of the bed and a little bit of coverage down the side. It's been a while since I've had all of these out, actually. I'm not sure if I'm up to date taking photographs for my Ravelry project page. Okay, these two are, I think, pretty much all hedgehog fibres, and these were sent to me by Sally, who is Sally Morris. So they're not, I don't think they're identically arranged, but it's all similar yarns. So you just start with, let me show this. So you knit one mitered square, and then you knit a separate second one, and then you join them together with a third, and then you cast on and pick up and fill in the gaps all the way around. And then you pick up and knit a garter border. And my garter borders are always undyed sparkle owl, which is an owl about yarn base. It's 70-20, 75-25, 70%, 20%, 5% merino nylon stellina, I think. But there's those two. Oh, now these two blocks, there was one day at work, 18 months, 2 years ago, and I was on a massive shift all day, all by myself, really bored, and I'd forgotten to bring my knitting. And Jenny, God love her, put me together an emergency knitting kit, and she grabbed a handful of scraps of yarn and some needles to lend me and rushed down to the gym. So I don't know what these yarns are. They're a mixture of sock yarns. I think that might be Drops Fable. So yeah, these are my emergency work squares. That was really kind of her to bring those down. And then I've got 6 squares that are all River Knits minis. So these I bought from a show It might be Yarningham actually, a couple of years ago. And if you've seen the River Knits stand, Becky and Marcus do the most amazing wall of minis, 20-gram minis. And they grade them in colours from light to dark. So I chose some of the darker shades and knit half a dozen squares out of those. And I think this is BFL nylon, but I could be mistaken. But those are beautiful. And then every now and then I knit a square. Can you see this one here has a thicker border on two sides? So this will be a corner square. So at some point I need to end up with 4 corner squares, and some will be edge squares. I probably need to start thinking about that actually. But yeah, there we go. That's my River Knits ones. A whole nother bag full. Ah, yes. These two are all Little French Meadow mini leftovers, and somebody sent me these, and I'm wondering if it was Kelly of Lay Family Yarns. It might be. But anyway, they are really lovely yarns, and it's the only Little French Meadow that I've ever tried. So these knit up really nicely. I enjoyed these very much. I particularly liked that one. That's one of my favourite squares. I enjoy working out which colours to put next to each other. Oh, now these, again, I've got half a dozen of these, and these are all Mothie and the Squid. And I did buy these. These were from the very first Yarningham, so maybe 4 years ago, I think. And we were in the main hall, and the Owl About Yarn stand was right against the edge. And Mothie and the Squid was sort of opposite us in the middle aisle, but the far side of it. And I could see these packs of rainbow minis stacked up on some of her storage cubes. And I was really worried that they were all going to go on the first day. But day 2 came round and there was still some left. So I dashed across and bought some. And how cheerful are those? So they're all tonals, apart from this one, which is a bit of a rainbow stripe. So on this one, you came out with the warmer colours, and on this one, I came out with the cooler colours. So I stuck those in the middle. So they were really fun to knit. Yeah, those are some of the first ones I did, actually. And then another pack of minis that I bought especially for this project are my sparkle minis. I don't know if you're going to get the sparkle. And these are by Jo Knit Sew. Jo is a really lovely lady. We see her at lots of the shows, and she dyes yarn and she makes project bags, and she also makes big girl pants. She sews the most comfortable, fantastically printed, coziest underwear you'll ever get on your cheeks, ever. So if you need knickers, go and see Jo Knit Sew. I think she's joknitsew.com. And she also does a monthly club, a pants and socks club. So you get a pair of pants and some yarn to match. Anyway, so those are my Jo Knit Sew squares. And I particularly liked the charcoal sparkle there. I thought that was really nice. Oh, yeah. And last, but by no means least, these are some of my favourite squares. Now these minis were a pack that were given to me by Jenny of Owl About Yarn, but the yarn dyer is Sarah's Texture Crafts. And unfortunately she doesn't dye any longer. She developed a wool allergy, so had to stop dyeing fibre and knitting yarn, which is a real shame. But they really are beautiful yarns, and it was a lovely Christmas present from Jenny. And that one there is my absolute favourite. I love that one. And if I could have bought a jumper's worth of that yarn, I absolutely would have done. So I've got, sorry if I'm joggling the selfie stick, you're balanced on the dining room table. I've got about 7 inches of blanket squares, which is of course exactly how you measure blanket squares, isn't it? Jim, shh. Jim's on his beanbag behind me, so there's much scrunching. Could you not wait to itch until I finish recording? I haven't counted them up actually. How many have I got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. That's more than I thought. I've got 30 squares. That's pretty good going. And then in my Zoe project bag, which was a gift from Jeanette. Hi Jeanette. At the first Knit Tea retreat, is last year's Advent minis that I haven't finished knitting up into squares. I ran out of steam a bit. So last Advent swap, the person that sent yarns to me was Becky, who is the Crafty Singer. Hey Becky! She's up in Yorkshire and she's a regular in the monthly thread that I live on in Ravelry. And I don't know if it's going to be too shiny, but you can see all the lovely colours that I've got all balled up and ready to go. I have made a start. How far have I got? Oh, I've got 4 already. Gosh, I didn't think I'd done as many as that. So again, these are all slightly different because I got so many different colourways in the Advent swap. The blocks are a bit more mixed up. I love that purple and black one there. And there were 2 different rainbow yarns which were really fun to work with. And these 2, these are also river knits. They're lovely. I think they've got a touch of silk in actually. Yeah, and that one was really fun as well. So yeah, four squares from last year's Advent, and you know, that many more to knit up, and I haven't even started this year's. And oh, that's all I've got left. I had a whole 100 gram skein of Owl About Yarn Sparkle Owl, and that's all I've got left. So Jenny, if you've got any undyed left, save it for me. Save it for me. I'm going to need one more skein, I think. At some point I should lay all my squares out so I can see how far I've got, because I'll need to plan doing the edge ones, which will need a thicker border than the standard size squares. So I might need to start thinking about layout, but I don't want to overthink it. I just want to mix all the different blocks up so it's a big riot of colour. And that I'm knitting on 2.5mm needles. I use DPNs for doing the mitered squares, and when I pick up around the edges for the border, I just use a 2.5 circular needle. So I really should get cracking with some of those, because I'd almost forgotten how lovely the yarns are in there. There's some really nice colours. Right, so yes, that's what all my Advent minis are going to go into. So I'll have more squares to knit up with this year's. And as I mentioned, I think that the little bumps of fluff that I got in my Advent calendar, I'll spin those up into a fingering weight as well, and they can all go in. Okay, I reckon I've got about 45 minutes until my offspring are home. So I'm going to go and fire up the heated blanket and have just a little bit of peace and quiet before everybody descends. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.